Hello, I'm Stephen Bias, Music Director of the North Mississippi Symphony Orchestra. Welcome to the final program of our 2021 virtual season. Today's program is titled Beautiful Beginnings, and it is a commemoration of and a kickoff for the orchestra's 50th anniversary. Today's program presents 4 selections that were taken from the 1971-1972 inaugural season of the Tupelo Symphony Orchestra. The first season of the orchestra was led by conductor Arthur Kreutz, and Maestro Kreutz programmed an abundance of operatic vocal selections with the orchestra in that first season. We have invited a friend who is dear to the North Mississippi Symphony Orchestra, Ms. Nancy Mariah Balish, to sing 3 selections from that first season. Cara nome che il mio cor, or Sweet Name That Made My Heart, is an aria from Giuseppe Verdi's opera Rigoletto. In this opera, the Duke of Mantua is a notorious womanizer, and his court jester is the pitiful and vicious Rigoletto. Rigoletto discovers that his own young and naive daughter, Gilda, has fallen prey to the Duke. In the aria, Gilda dreamily muses on the name of the man with whom she is in love, unaware that it is a false name and that he is not who he pretends to be. Cara nome is Gilda's first extended expression of independent emotions and shows both her tenderness and her simplicity. The aria is a breathtaking portrayal of young love in all its innocence and idealism. This is Cara nome from the opera Rigoletto, sung by Nancy Mariah Balish.
Te sorbe
When I first joined the orchestra, the season was essentially a standard season. That is a series of concerts where a soloist would be invited and there might be an overture. The soloist would play a wonderful masterpiece and then the orchestra would play a symphony or something of a larger work on the second half of the program. At that time in 2000, right there at the beginning of the 21st century, so much was changing in our culture, especially electronically, and the access to music and the variety of music that people could listen to was not just doubling or tripling each year, it was an exponential growth. So immediately I began to think, how can we create experiences that are beyond the traditional symphonic performance mode that had been part of what the orchestra had done for, at that time, almost 30 years, or a little over 30 years. So we began to think especially about education. That was very important to me, and we expanded our educational program until just a few years after that we began to partner with Carnegie Hall in their Link Up concert series, which has been a phenomenal success for our orchestra, the city of Tupelo, and the entire region around Tupelo. But also to engage a wider berth of soloists and to expand the repertoire where we were performing pieces that were not only part of the standard orchestral repertoire, the great masterpieces, but pieces that were seldom performed that should be heard. I've introduced many composers and compositions to the community, some that were stretching their abilities to listen. And I think in every way it's been a success to broaden the palette of the musical culture in our region, but also to expand the offerings so that no longer is it necessary to get in your car and drive to Memphis, Birmingham, Atlanta, Jackson, but rather we're bringing the world to Tupelo. And the programming, I'd say, has been one of the most significant and apparent ways that we've expanded the footprint, artistically, culturally, of symphonic music and of music in general in this city and this region. Voi che sapete is an aria from Mozart's monumental opera Le Nozze di Figaro, or The Marriage of Figaro. It is sung by Cherubino, a young boy who is a page to Count Almaviva, in whose palace the drama takes place. Susanna, the maid to the Countess, knows about Cherubino's adolescent infatuation with all women, and she encourages him to sing a love song he has written while she accompanies him on the guitar. Mozart composed this touching scene in a naive, childlike tone. The aria opens with a simple and graceful melody, and the orchestra accompanies with the strings playing pizzicato, or plucking their strings, imitating a guitar that Susanna plays. And in case you were wondering, the part of the boy Cherubino is played by a woman. This operatic convention is called a trousers or pants roll, and this is the same as it is in the Beaumarchais play on which the opera is based. This is Voi che sapete from the Mozart opera The Marriage of Figaro.
Sia nel cuore
When I joined the orchestra as music director, one of the first things I did was get into my car and drive to the communities and environs surrounding Tupelo. I had in mind during that first venture into neighboring communities to engage one community to bring the orchestra to perform there. As I mentioned before, an orchestra is an expensive and resource-heavy operation, and many small communities just simply don't have the resources or the finances to support having a symphony orchestra. Since we're going to all that effort in Tupelo and bringing these world-class artists from all around the world to perform, why not take the orchestra to these communities? It would be a fraction of the cost to take the orchestra to play in these communities, and what a wonderful thing for these smaller communities. But what a great thing for the orchestra artistically to repeat a performance, to get to know one another better, to play together more. So I got into my car and I went to 5 communities: Fulton, Amory, Columbus, Oxford. We even went over to Cleveland out in the Delta. And in that trip, it was my hope that one community would invite the orchestra to come. To my amazement, all 5 communities said, "We want you. Let's schedule a time for you to come and play in our community." It almost doubled the number of performances we were presenting in a year for the next season, because we did try to take the orchestra to as many places as we could. That's an exciting part of what I see as our role as an arts leader in the region. I consider myself a musical evangelist. There is so much about music that people don't understand that's mysterious. There's a certain mystique to it. My role is to remove the mystery. I don't want to touch the mystique, because music for me, even as a seasoned professional, still has a powerful and palpable mystique. But by removing the mystery and just bringing music to the people, creating the opportunity for them to hear and experience live symphonic music, reflects that very first time I saw a concert, and it changed my life. So I want to ensure that our neighboring communities have the opportunity, and to explain to them why music is important, why it's necessary to come and see a performance live, and how exciting it is. I have a phrase that I have stated repeatedly over the past 10 years, saying, "Come to our concerts. I promise that something will thrill you. You will find something that will excite you and thrill you in our programs." I stand by that. Music has the ability to engage you on so many levels. And I hear, a decade later, when I go to that wonderful Sugary's Bakery in New Albany, Mississippi, I may see somebody who's come to a concert before who has an exacting story of their experience 8 years ago when the orchestra played there with a soloist. And I have affirmation, confirmation, that what we're doing is powerful and is real and needs to continue to be taken into the community. So outreach is a very big part of what the orchestra does, and is also part of our commitment in this next decade for the next 50 years of the North Mississippi Symphony Orchestra. Una voce poco fa, or a voice a little while ago, is an aria from Gioacchino Rossini's opera The Barber of Seville. The irrepressible character Rosina refuses to marry her pompous old guardian. Meanwhile, a bold young count is eager to win Rosina for himself. And who's going to make sure these two finish the opera united? The cleverest character in all of Seville, the barber Figaro. In this scene, Rosina has heard a voice serenading her. It was Lindoro, the young man she loves. She anticipates that he will be hers, and then proclaims that if anyone interferes, she knows 100 tricks to get her way. Once again, the wonderful Nancy Mariah Balish singing Una voce poco fa from The Barber of Seville by Rossini.
lascio reggere, mi fa guidar, Ma se mi tolgono dove il mio deboli, sarò una vipera, sarò. E 100 trappole prima di cedere, farò giocare. E 100 trappole prima di cedere, farò giocare. E 100 trappole prima di cedere, e 100 trappole farò giocare. Io sono il dolce, sono mi dimmi, mi lascia vedere, mi
Our orchestra is unique in this, and I talk to other musicians that play in other orchestras. So we might have several musicians that play in 3 different orchestras. And the one common element, the one common theme that I get from them when I'm talking with them is that they love Tupelo because of the camaraderie, the esprit de corps. We're not a high pressure, if you miss a note, you're fired. We don't do that. Most everybody on that stage loves coming to Tupelo. They've made friends in the community, and they love playing with their other musician friends. And it's a camaraderie that you don't see in a lot of the orchestras, but you do here.
Guys, this is a cool gig, and thank you for those who've been here for a while. Thank you. I've had a lot of wonderful memories. We've had a lot of memories, having fun with this music. How we all struggled together to put it together in 2 days. So thank you for all the wonderful memories. And I look forward to many more unforgettable memories with all of you.
I hope you all will, if you haven't been to an orchestra concert, I hope this year you'll find one and come to. And then if you like it, I want you to buy season tickets and keep coming. That's what I want to say.
The final work on our program is the Symphony No. 88 by Haydn, and is taken from the inaugural performance of the Tupelo Symphony Orchestra, performed on November 20th, 1971. This symphony is a delight in many ways, full of sparkling, perky, and witty music, and it is one of Haydn's most popular. The first movement opens with a slow introduction full of grand and solemn chords. The music pauses, then delivers a brisk allegro as violins present a tune that seems almost childlike in its simplicity. But the wonder is what Haydn then does with this simple little tune. The entire movement grows out of this theme, and rather than introducing new ideas, Haydn builds the entire structure here out of this simple but spirited musical idea. The second movement, marked Largo, takes us into an entirely different world. The tempo is broad, and the musical gestures are also broad and dignified. The main melody is first presented as a duet between the solo oboe and solo cello. The movement unfolds as a series of repetitions of this theme, and Haydn gives it subtly different colors on each reappearance. There are surprises along the way, including huge outbursts from the entire orchestra, full of the sound of timpani and trumpets. After the poised dignity of the second movement, the third movement is a rollicking minuet. The most striking feature here comes in the trio section, where oboes and violins play a lovely melody over a bagpipe-like drone from the bassoons and the violas. Haydn marks the finale, allegro con spirito, and spirited it certainly is. The principal theme sounds closely related to the main theme of the first movement, and this movement is just as infectious and fun as the first. This is the Symphony No. 88 by Haydn.
My being involved for all these years gave me a perspective to see the growth of the orchestra, not just in the size of the orchestra, but in the quality of the musicians that we were able to attract, the increase in the size of the audience, the appreciation that the community had. One of the things of which I'm most proud is that we've been able to develop the relationship with the schools and provide the performances for the school children once a year. I think that's one of the more important things that the orchestra has done and does, is to provide these opportunities for the children. Because if you don't grow your audiences, you know, I grew up loving music, and I can't remember when I didn't, and I sort of just exposed myself to music, I guess. But so many of the children these days, if they don't get it at school and through an opportunity like this, they're not going to hear quality music. And eventually there'll be young people who don't know what a symphony orchestra offers to their lives. I personally could not imagine my life without quality music. It's just a component of my life that I would be so poor. My quality of life would be so poor without it. It sustains me, sustains my soul, and I want that for all children. And I think it takes exposing young people to this kind of music to help them gain an appreciation for what it truly offers. When you compare it to some of the music that they listen to today, you know, they're not really going to be. Their ears aren't going to be attuned to it unless they hear it enough and have that exposure to know, hey, this is something really special. I need to listen. They've developed relationships with the universities, with Ole Miss, with the University of Alabama, with the University of Memphis, and with the music departments in those places. And they have, over the years, they've used a lot of their professors and their students. But they've set the bar high. They have to audition to perform. And they don't take musicians who don't play well. And so it's created this situation where people who can play well really want to play with the Tupelo Symphony. And they also want to have the experience of working under someone like Stephen Bice, because he helps refine their talents to such a degree. Well, Stephen is so bright and so creative. His programming is just fascinating to me, the way he puts things together. He's got the contacts throughout nationally and internationally with these performers. He's been able to reach out and bring them into Tupelo, and he's gotten high-level performers that we can afford. That's important, you know. There are a lot of people out there who perhaps want $100,000. Well, you know, we can't do that, but he's able to find quality performers. And over the years, and especially because of Margaret Ann's graciousness and hospitality, she has frequently kept these musicians at her home. They've stayed with her, and so they all love to come to Tupelo. They love the way they're treated, the way they're appreciated. And Stephen has the connection with these people. He has got the experience. He's a talented musician and an amazing conductor, and he just brings all of this in such a beautiful, easy way to our orchestra. We're very fortunate. I can't imagine not having Stephen Bias as our music conductor.